Hey friends, Colleen Beamish here. Thank you for joining me for another card making video. It's been a while since I uploaded, but I have a lot going on and I'll probably get into that a little bit later. But for now, about the card I'm making today. This is a Mother's Day card. It's really inspired by the Greetery release that just happened. It was really a beautiful release, and it probably is the most I've ever bought in one release on release day. It was just, I wanted it all, so I got as much as I could. So I'm starting with the Flower Market Bouquet stamp set. This is a multi-layering stamp set. As you can see, I've already done the greenery. Now I'm working on the flowers. I want the flowers to be a very pale pink, so I'm just double stamping with the blush color, and then I will come in with Concord 9th Ballet Slipper to add the shading. These are two very similar shades, but it's just enough difference to add a little bit of shading without making the flower too dark, because I really did want it to be that pale pink. And I don't really want the bouquet to be absolutely perfect. I'm not double stamping every single thing because I like a little bit of the distressed look almost. It kind of gives it like a farmhouse kind of vibe. So I'll just stamp these other little flowers that come with it as well. And the details on that, I'm using Gina K Sweet Corn for the centers of those. I didn't want them to match the lemon whip too closely, so I wanted it to be an even paler yellow. And now I'm using some Gina K Amalgam Black ink to stamp the little details for the centers of the flowers. So I really love how easy it is to make a card using the stamp set because you have that big focal point right off the bat. And I'll just show you all the little pieces here. I haven't popped out the little die cut sections yet, but I just love how this turned out. It's so pretty, and it will look even better on my card. Here are all the pieces I've stamped out so far. I'm going to go ahead and start working with the Holding Hands stamp set to add a couple more details to the card. So this is such a unique and cool stamp set. I really, really love it. You can do these hands. It comes with a bunch of sleeves and jewelry and some little accessories that the hands can be holding. And I just think it's ingenious and they're beautiful and I love it. So I stamped those using the Warm Buff color from Pink Fresh Studio. To get the dies perfectly lined up, I cut them out of cardstock first and then layered it over top and then lined up my die. Unfortunately, this didn't really work out well because of the outline got in the way. So basically it made an imprint and then I could line up the dies easier anyway without the negative. I hope that made sense. Maybe it didn't, so sorry. But okay, so I just stamped out the nails using bubblegum ink from Stamp Market, and now the details on the hands. I thought the hands looked great before, but then you stamp these details and they just look amazing. And then the die cut also like puts little embossed ridges and fabulous. So now I'm working with the sleeves. I picked out these kind of like blousey type sleeves. I'm just cutting that out of some vellum. Honestly, most of the sleeve gets cut off of my card, so I put a little more effort into it than I needed to. Also, you can, there's a stamp, you can add details to the sleeves. I didn't worry about it. Like I said, most of my sleeve gets cut off. So here are the crimped frame dies. I'm using these to create kind of like, well, honestly, a frame. I'm just using them to cut out a frame. So I'm using the biggest and the medium, and then I will go ahead and die cut that and then have a perfect frame for my card front. The crimp frame dies is honestly one of my favorite Greetery products. I use it on pretty much all of my cards just because it is so simple, but it adds some really nice fancy detailing. Somehow a little ridge appeared on my die cut. I'm not really sure how that happened, but I just wanted to show you it is an easy fix. I just take my bone folder and kind of buff it out, going from different angles, front and back, side to side, and that will really become unnoticeable. You won't even know it happened. So now I'm prepping my card base. This is Nina Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock cut to 5.5 by 8.5, and I'm just scoring it at 4.25 for a side folding card. This is the basic layout I'm going with. I wanted to put foam on the back of the frame to pop it up, but I didn't want to, I didn't want the hand to be beneath the foam. So I marked where the hand's going to be so I can put foam around it. What I didn't think about was that I could have just adhered the hand to the frame here and then just put the foam behind it. I made it a lot more complicated for myself. I feel like that's something that I always do in crafting. Maybe you're the same way. Let me know down in the comments. Are you someone who overcomplicates things, overthinks things, or do you pretty much think ahead, figure it out, and then do it as you go? So I'm just cutting down some craft foam. You could definitely use some foam tape for this. Yeah, so while I'm adding all the foam and adhesive here, I'll just tell you a little bit about what's going on with me. So some of you know I've been unemployed since COVID started, really. I've been doing a couple part-time things here and there. I did get a part-time job with a church, but I recently secured a full-time position in Vermont with a nonprofit organization, and I'm very, very excited. But that means that I am moving. I have an apartment that I'm excited to move into, but I have to pack up all of my craft supplies, all of my furniture and everything, and get moved out there. So that's why I've been busy, and why I haven't been doing much crafting, or at least not much video making. So okay, while I've been talking, what I've been doing, I attached the sleeve to the hand, knowing that the back of it was going to be cut off, so it didn't matter if the adhesive was showing. Now I'm adhering that sleeve to the frame, and then the hand to the sleeve, and then I'm putting foam behind it. Like I said, I made it a lot more complicated than it needed to be. But I get the result I wanted, so that's really all that matters. So I have that all lined up, and I'm going to, first I'm going to cut off the excess there, and then I'm going to adhere my frame to my card base once I add some foam here. I didn't bother adding foam behind the hand because with the bouquet, once I add a couple more pieces on the top of the bouquet, there's not really space for the hand to end up getting pushed or whatever. Like, it just didn't need that reinforcement of the foam behind it. But yeah, so this would be really pretty if you also maybe added vellum in that frame, or made it into a shaker card, or even just did some stamping on the background or ink blending. I just wanted to go with the clean white look. My cards tend to be clean and simple that way, but it could definitely be a lot of fun if you added something to the background. So I'll just adhere the pieces of the bouquet that's over on the frame. This is kind of an unnecessary step. I don't know. I just adhered the stems down with some double-sided adhesive. I figured a little bit of reinforcement couldn't hurt, so I used some G&K glue for that. Now I'm adding in the extra pieces I stamped. So I actually ended up stamping 4 of these, and I think it just adds so much to the bouquet because it adds a little bit of dimension, a little bit of variety, and the third color is really great as well. Which I should mention, with the tulips in the bouquet, you could have stamped 2 different colors or even 3 different colors, but I just wanted it to all be uniform. Again, if you go to the QR code that takes you to the Greetery inspiration, there is a very similar bouquet that was kind of my inspiration for this, color-wise. I don't know who created that card, or else I would give them credit, but you can definitely go see it. If you got this stamp set, go to the QR code, it takes you to the lookbook, and you can see the bouquet I'm talking about. So I'm just using some liquid glue to adhere these down. Really simple, really easy. And I'll just move them around until they're exactly how I want them lined up. I'll add 2 to the front and then 2 to the side/back of the bouquet. This really just balances it out. Cutting off the stems would make it a lot easier to put them in place. And yeah, that's my final arrangement. I really love how it turned out. You could definitely add even more flowers if you wanted to, or use some of the other sets from the Greetery to add more. Now I'm just taking a sentiment from the Holding Hands stamp set. There's some really great ones in here. Since this is a Mother's Day card, I'm putting "For You, Mom." I think it's just really sweet and simple, and really the flowers are the focal point of the whole card. So that's pretty much the card. I will add one little more detail. The Holding Hands stamp set, like I mentioned before, has some jewelry pieces. So I'm going to heat emboss a little ring. So first I just die cut it, and I made sure that the cutout part stayed in the piece of paper I cut it from. And I'm just going to use my anti-static powder and an acrylic block to stamp down the ring using Versamark ink. This just makes it easy to line it up. You don't need to use the Misty for this or anything. I even did double stamp it, and I didn't mess it up at all, so that's great. And then having it in the piece that you die cut it from, that just allows you to have a little more space to hold on to when you're heat embossing it. So I just used some silver embossing powder. I did that off camera. Put a little bit of glue on the finger that I was adhering the ring to, and there's my card. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you again soon. Bye!